finances. In life, to be honest, I've failed as much as I've succeeded. But I love my wife. I love my life. And I wish you my kind of success.
It's a wise man. So he obviously speaks from the heart. He knows it's about storytelling and giving an emotional connection. That's what people connect to. So I just wanted to end today just with 15 random sales tips that have worked for me that I picked up along the way. These are things you won't find in any textbook. They're just things that actually work that I wanted to pass on to you today, so that not all of them, because obviously you're all selling something different, but hopefully some of them you can actually put into practice and use and help you be even more effective in your day-to-day sales. So when someone raises an objection, what I found really useful is this thing, feel, felt, found. And what I would say is, I understand how you feel. A lot of my customers felt the same way, but what they found is when they started using our product or service, they were thrilled that they made the switch. So just that feel, felt, found, however you set it up, is a really neat way to be able to show that you understand what their concern is, but how you can overcome it. The next one, this is if you're really going into a larger business where there may be a receptionist at the front desk. The receptionist is often seen, his or her job is often to be a gatekeeper, to keep salespeople out, right? That's part of their job. So when the key is not to sell to the receptionist. It's very easy just to go up to the person at the front desk and start talking about how fantastic your product is, because that's easy to do. But what you should be doing is finding out who the real decision maker is. And you don't necessarily want to insult them by saying who is a decision maker. Just say, besides yourself, who ends up making final decisions? And then you can know that the person, the name you're given is the person that you should actually be sitting down with, and you're not wasting their time, and you're certainly not wasting yours. When you're trying to get a presentation, a face-to-face sit-down, it's really key only to sell the appointment on the phone. You don't really, if you know you're going to be able to sit down with the person, that's where you can start building trust. So you don't really want to be doing that on the phone. The key thing is to sell the appointment, and then that's it. That should be your goal on the phone. All the rest you do it in front of them so that you can gather more information and everything else we talked about in the presentation. When you do finally have success and you've made that sale, that's the time to politely leave, because once you've made a sale and you've got a sign, you've got a signature on a dotted line, the only thing you can do after that is start messing it up. So once you've got that sale, just politely leave. The 5 after 5 again goes back to the receptionist. This was something I was taught back in Boston, so maybe it's for like if you're prospecting in larger cities. 5 after 5 is 5 o'clock is typically when the receptionist goes home. That's the gatekeeper. So that's a good time. After 5 o'clock, make 5 calls after 5 before you go home. Then you'll have much more chance of getting through to the ultimate decision maker. Referrals appreciated. I just saw this on someone's, either their e-sig on their email, or even on their business card. It never does any harm just to say referrals appreciated. It might prompt somebody to think, hey, you know what? I have a friend that could really use this product or service. And don't leave voicemails. That would be my suggestion. Unless somebody's called you and you're calling them back, returning their call. Once you leave a voicemail, you're kind of out of control. And again, right, you want to be in control. Once you've left a voicemail, you're then waiting for that person to call you back. And typically, people don't call salespeople back. So the idea is just hang up and call again. Then you're in control and you can call as many times as you need to until you get a hold of that person. But once you leave a voicemail, then you're kind of stuck. The 80-20 rule is 80% of the business of sales is done by 20% of the salespeople. And that's really that third part of the pie chart that we talked about. 1 to 10 overcoming objections. This is something that Mark Saber at Saber Marine told me not that long ago over in Colchester. He said when somebody, whatever the objection is, whatever they say why they don't want to buy, he said, well, let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is you have no interest in buying, 10 is you're ready to buy, where would you say you're at? And so they may say, I'm like at a 7. And he says, so what is it that's stopping you from getting from that 7 to a 10? And then he just listens, and whatever they say next, he realizes that's the actual objection. And what he's done by asking the 1 to 10 is he's isolated that objection, and that's your key to find out what is really holding them back, what is preventing them from going ahead and saying yes. Where are we? 2 weeks out. So my suggestion when you're trying to make an appointment to go meet with someone is never to call them up and say, hey, can I stop by tomorrow? Because people, you want to respect their time. People's calendars fill up. Always put it out a week or even 2 weeks. they'll have more time, and also it just sits better with them. It's something they're more likely to say yes to because they don't feel it's something imminent, so they can kind of plan ahead for it. If they are hesitant, it's a great phrase just to say, well, what about this? Why don't we just pencil something in for a couple of weeks from now? It sounds much less, there's less commitment on their end, but in reality, once you've penciled something in, it's basically an appointment anyway. So I always recommend using that phrase. Time, I don't even remember what that is. Time. So running down the competition, we spoke about that. Never run down the competition. No soliciting if you are, again, it's not in this area, but no soliciting is if you're going into a larger building and it says that sign, no soliciting, that basically just means there's business in there, and most salespeople won't have gone in there. So I was always encouraged, this is kind of back in the Boston days in Manhattan, those are great buildings to go into, because there's business to be had from there. There's two great quotes. Before a customer buys your product, they first buy you. John mentioned that just not that long ago. That's what they're first buying. If they don't buy you, they're ultimately not going to want to buy from you. They'll even spend more money to buy with someone they like around the corner. So it's really important that you're building those human relationships before you start talking about your benefits or during that time. And ultimately, customers want to feel they're buying. Although you're in control, you want to let them feel that they're ultimately making that decision. Nobody wants to be forced into a decision. If you feel like you just back away. You want to feel, you're really encouraging them to see the benefits. That's really what it is. That's your job as a salesperson. And then finally, just some homework to take it away. If you're getting stressed about hearing no, just realize that at the end of the day, just try and see it as a game. If you have other salespeople in the office, try and have a monthly challenge to see who can sell more, and just try and have fun with it. Stand up means, there's a great phrase, motion creates emotion. If you're just getting stressed sitting at your desk, just walk around your desk or walk around the building and just take a break. And that just kind of brings you back to realizing that it's not as serious as it may sound. And eat that frog. I'm on the board of the Humane Society, so I don't advocate that. But eat the frog basically means when we wake up in the morning, if there's something on our mind, we know we've got to make a call that's going to be really difficult. Human nature dictates that we leave that at the very end of the day. What that means is all those smaller tasks, you're not feeling accomplished because all you're really thinking about is that thing you've got to do. If you do that, the very first thing, A, you'll feel accomplished, and B, everything else you go on to, the smaller tasks, will be so much easier for it. And then the very final thing today is USP, unique selling proposition or unique selling point. Think about when you leave today, what is it that makes you genuinely unique? And last month at the series we talked about this last month, you've got to be unique unless you're cheap. You want to be different from the competition and better. So what is it that makes you stand apart from all the competition and ultimately makes somebody want to buy from you as opposed to your competition? Any questions?
So we talked over break about how a lot of my sales are done over the phone and through email because it's all over the country because we're an internet-based business.
Right.
Why wouldn't I guess, leave voicemails, I suppose, or how am I going to make that connection easier over the phone when I can't physically see their body language or how any of that's going?
So are you in a place where you will be able to, or you won't be able to actually physically see them?
No, I will not.
I still think if you leave a voicemail and they don't call you back, if you call again, then you're kind of being a pest. But if you just keep calling without having left a message, they don't know that you called before, unless they're screening your call.
The way I guess that we had looked at it before is that that's just one more way of having my name and the company name in front of them. I guess I'm trying to get in front of them as many ways as possible. If I can't get them on the phone, then...
Well, ultimately, what the voicemail means, if you've tried a few times to reach them, then I guess a voicemail. But what it means is don't just leave a voicemail initially.
Right.
That's really the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're out of time. I'll be around though to ask questions. Maybe we can chat after if there's any other questions.
I just wanted to answer the question too.
Oh, I thought you were bringing out the
that's part of the thing. I did want to address what she was saying. Don't forget that making a sale is making a human connection. Leaving a voicemail is not making a connection.
Right.
I think he's absolutely right. Don't leave a voicemail. Because if you leave a voicemail, then if they said to call again, and you call 3 more times, and you leave 3 different voicemails, all you're doing is being a pain in the neck.
That's the last thing I want to be.
And getting one more opportunity to get the company's name in front of them. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to sell them something. So I think Phil.
So then, how do I go about trying to sell them something without sounding like a salesperson over the phone?
Well, first thing you have to do is make the connection. And I think one of the things Phil, I'm sure we've gotten to is if you call at 10 in the morning, he's not there. Next time you call at 2 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Not there, you call again at 11 o'clock in the morning. Whatever it is, you move it around so that you're hopeful at some point you're going to be able to connect with the person.
And if you leave a message, you've given them the opportunity to be in that third no.
Right.
One thing that regarding this is that everyone in this room is around my age, and Kristen's a little bit
26.
younger. And the next generation of people coming up do not use the phone. They do not even have voicemail set up. And this is like my teenagers and above. And I think that we need to be cognizant of that's not how they want to communicate anymore. So,
It will be when they get some business and they're
what do
working.
you think? Because often when
How
we
else are
make
they going to
calls,
communicate?
no one ever picks up. No one ever picks up.
The only way they're going to change that is when they're in the receiver power, and I know I'm probably not going to do that.
And on the flip side of that, all these tools are fantastic. LinkedIn is a great business tool. And emailing is fantastic. But so many people use that as a crutch so they don't have to get in front of people and feel discomfort. They want to stay in their comfort zone. And ultimately, if you don't get in front of someone, as John said, it's impossible to form that human relationship. And if that's all you're doing, email and LinkedIn, ultimately that's not a way to be a successful salesperson. They're just incredibly great. They're great tools to enhance the basic foundation of what selling is all about. So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for being here today and for being engaged. You're very good. And if there are any questions beyond this, because obviously this is 3 hours, which is nothing. Sales is a huge subject. So feel free, that's my email. Feel free to give me a call anytime. And these are the 3 recommended reading. I'd recommend any of these very highly to read in your spare time. And good luck on the Powerball tonight. Best of luck. I just asked for 2 million.
I think we're something.
Exactly. John.
Thank you, Phil. Great job. We are in the process, we, the LADC, are in the process of setting up a YouTube channel which will have all of our workshops on it.
Wow.
You will notice that they've been filming this all day. It will be on the YouTube channel after they're through with the editing, which will be whenever, but you will be able to access all of our workshops by simply going to our website, clicking on the YouTube channel and finding it there. You can look at this again at the top where you want to see all the chart sheets, but I'm assuming you can probably get me a copy of the PowerPoint.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, Phil will send me a copy of the PowerPoint. If you want it, contact me, and I'll be happy to send it on to you once I get it from Phil. I'd also like to put in the plug for Phil. He does this for a living, guys. If you were working for an organization that you think what he's been talking about would be good for other people to hear, call him up. That's what he does. So that's not a bad thing to do, so you can use the services. You've got the evaluation forms in front of you. If you don't, we have extras back there. Please do fill those out. Leave them on the table on the way out. We do these workshops. We do 8 of these a year. I'm always looking for new subjects to cover. If you can think of anything that you would like to see a workshop, have us do a workshop on, please write that on the back of the sheet, because we do take those in mind when we put together our schedule. We are finalizing our schedule for next year already. So anything that you want to put down on the back of that sheet would be appreciated. Thanks for coming.